positive thoughts out there into the universe. Some of you might recognize these beginning words to a familiar phrase or some form of it, and they somehow seemed fitting tonight as we gather here to honor the life of Tammy Tate, a woman who built her life around the good things of the world. In order to remember those that we love when they pass from us, it's important to recall special memories. Each of you here today are going to do that differently. But all of you are going to draw on the moments in which your life intersected with hers. Dave, Lily, and Dylan, family, friends. It's my hope that for a few brief moments today, you'll stop the busyness of your life and do just that. It's my hope that you'll remember smiles and laughter and good times and love. And as we prepare to do that, can I ask you to bow your heads for a moment of prayer and silence? Some of you are going to need to hear a prayer, and some will just need to settle your hearts and your minds. Lord, you created human beings to live in community. You designed us so that we would need each other regardless of how self-sufficient we are. You made us so that we would have to depend on each other to survive, to experience good things, and to endure difficult times. Since the beginning of time, we have gathered together in some way to say goodbye to the people we love most. I ask that today you would be in this space, that you would provide comfort and peace. I ask that you would show those here how to grieve and help them to accept the need to do so. I also ask that you would turn that grief into great and lasting memories that were much more happier. Bless us today, Lord. And take just a moment of silence. Thank you. I didn't have the opportunity to know Tammy personally, but after speaking with her family, I felt pretty honored to have received a glimpse into her life. What I saw and what you experienced personally is that Tammy was a woman filled with a passion for life. She had a desire to find the good things, and she sought out moments to laugh. Many of you would say that Tammy was filled with spunk. I heard some great words. Spunk, that she was spirited, that she was a little bit hippie, even hilarious. But I think that you would all agree on one thing, that Tammy was completely and totally unapologetically herself. But there was another side to Tammy as well. She was selfless. She gave of herself, her time, and her resources. Tammy spent something like 23 years volunteering. She gave away herself in many, many different ways. But for most of you, you could find her helping out at Iberia and Northmore schools. You might have found her at a ball game, at concessions, maybe some other school event if you didn't find her in a classroom. In fact, it wasn't uncommon for Tammy to spend an entire year shopping for the Secret Santa gifts, just so the children could have gifts that weren't overly expensive for them to give to their loved ones. So many great stories about her. Dave actually shared at one point that she thought that she would take upon herself on Thanksgiving, even though everyone came to their home at Thanksgiving, she would take on herself feeding the homeless and those who had great need. Tammy was selfless, but she was passionate about life as well. I heard great stories about her being an avid bird watcher, that you could spot a bird and she would stop the moment and run for her binoculars just so she could see it better and tell you all about it. Maybe she was filling hummingbird feeders. She was always taking care of something or someone. All of these things are great things to be said about any person. These qualities leave behind not just memories, but they establish strong roots in community and in family. And if I picked one thing about Tammy and what I learned, I would have to say that her favorite thing in the whole wide world was her family. That she loved beyond words being a mom to you, Lily and Dylan. And as Dave recaptured his story of how he came to fall in love with Tammy, over a large number of years, they were unaware of their future together, but they would run into each other at places like Moe's Diner here in Galleon. They would run into each other through common friends, just meet up every once in a while. What I heard was more than a story that they were destined to be soulmates or destined to be life partners, husband and wife, mother and father. They were destined to be together. And Tammy did these same things for many of you as well. Maybe you worked with her. Maybe you were a close friend. Maybe you had an opportunity just to receive some kindness that she offered to you. Regardless, somewhere in your life, you crossed paths with Tammy Tate. And whether you realized it at the time, your life was forever altered for it. And today, you're here to honor her and find closure for your own loss of her in your life. One of the best ways for us to honor others is to remember them, to recall a special event in life in which you spent with them, a conversation, a trip, an inside joke, some passion or interest that you shared. And some of you are sitting here today and you not only shared those moments with Tammy, but you shared them with each other. As you look around the room, recall some of those moments, some of those memories. They're good ones. The family and I talked about inviting some of you to share those memories. And we have some time today to do that. I'm going to ask Dylan, are you still willing to come? Okay, I'm going to have Dylan start that. And then I learned that if you don't come up here, the family doesn't get to share those memories later. So I'm going to need you to come up and share at the microphone. I'll step aside, okay, if you want to start us.
Thank you. You all knew my mother, and you all cared and loved for her in your own unique ways, and she cared and loved for you in all of her ways. But to me, she was everything. For over the last 24 years, she was my mom, an incredibly difficult role that she served amazingly without ever letting her love, her compassion, her dedication, and her selflessness for me, my sister, and my dad, and everyone else in all of her family waver. In my mind, I had the world's greatest mom, and it is impossible to quantify how much I loved her. She would always stick up for me. She would always be there if I needed anything. I could always go to her if I had a problem or trouble, and even though she may have been rightfully upset or angry in the moment, she didn't allow that to cloud the advice and the love she gave me. I love you, Mom. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna do my best up here. I just wanted to share a memory with Tammy. As many of you guys know, Lily's my closest friend. And so when we were young, us being such close friends, didn't take long for my mom and Tammy to start carpooling everywhere. And as we got older, Lily and I eventually did that for each other. The end result ended up being that I was in her driveway a lot. And unfortunately, both my mom, both my mom and I did not thrive well in those conditions, both in winter and also when we didn't really have an excuse. Yeah, Lily and I actually talked about it earlier. Between my mom and I, we got stuck 4 times. I hit their well. I also tapped her car the one time. You know, there was a lot of things happened in the driveway, but you know, even when I was very, very stressed, nervous, embarrassed, I could always count on Tammy just strutting out of the doors with a quick laugh and joke, and I would give anything to see Tammy walk out those doors one more time.
Is there anybody else that would like to share?
All right, so just like Hannah said, I'm going to do my best. All right, so a few days ago, I decided I wanted to speak at the funeral, and I was trying to think of the best moment or memory to share with you all, but all of my favorite memories just seem to be the most ordinary things. From going shopping with my mom, who always gave me a very brutally honest opinion about what I was wearing, to when the dressing rooms were closed and she would just make me try it on in the aisle because she didn't care what anyone thought. Anyone that passed by, she didn't care. To coming home from school and talking for hours about my day, to random trips and the car rides, to telling her all about the teenage drama and her telling me it would not matter when I was older. And, well, she was right, it doesn't matter. And then to her cooking me breakfast in the summers while I sat at the counter and just talked to her. To her getting so angry at Chipotle for never filling her bowl up all the way. To her cheering me on at softball and clapping when we were down by 10 just because she wanted to pump us up. To the whole family watching the Cleveland Guardians in the living room every night at 7 p.m. To us reading the same book just so we could talk about it. To her hanging out with me and all my girlfriends. To zoo trips with her, Ryland, my brother, and Jacob, and occasionally Riley. To her getting so excited to come visit me at college. To the daily text messages and phone calls. And to laying in each other's beds and just talking. All these memories just seem so ordinary, but I guess to me they are my favorite memories because I got to spend them with someone so extraordinary, and that was my mother. The relationship I had with my mom was everything a mom wants with her daughter and everything a daughter wants with her mom. She was my best friend, and she taught me how it feels to be loved unapologetically. So when she was diagnosed, it was tough to know that I could lose my mom soon. She was my biggest concern, but throughout it all, my mom's biggest concern wasn't herself. It was always me, my brother, and my dad. And while she may have lost a little spunk and energy near the end, she never lost my favorite side of her, her selfless side for the people that she loved. I was hoping this day wouldn't come, but it did, and I am sure a lot of you will resonate with this, but it was very easy for me to wonder why our time got cut short with my mom. If she would have lived the normal life expectancy, I would have gotten another 16 years. 16 years of her coming into my classroom and helping, or even being a grandma to my kids and being the best babysitter, or just 16 more years of watching the Cleveland Guardians together, 16 more years of memories, because I never would have been able to move that far away from her, as many of you probably know. But we are not getting those 16 years. And I understand that a lot of people lose their parent at a young age, but I still can't help but wonder why it had to be my mom, when, in my slightly biased opinion, my mom is one of the best humans. So while it is easy to think about all the time we won't have, we have to remember the time we did have. I got 22 years with the mom who tried every day to be the best mom in the world, which made her the best. 22 years with the mom who taught me to be who I am, most importantly, to be unapologetically myself, which one of my favorite qualities of her. 22 years with the mom who always gave me the last bite of anything and refused to take my last bite because that is the best part and she wanted me to have it. 22 years with the woman who may not have always had it fair in life, but still gave it her all. 22 years with the woman who read to us every single night when we were little and taught us how to read before kindergarten. 22 years with the mom who taught me to have all of her good qualities and none of her bad ones. So yeah, life may not seem very fair when I think of the 16 years I won't have, but I have to remember that life is fair because of those 22 years I did get. And I would take those 22 years with her over 50 years with anyone else as a mom. I will miss her so much, and I love her so much. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. You know, I think grief is the most difficult emotion for us to understand and accept. It is so counter to everyday living, and when we experience it, it hits us in the same exact way as love does, except it's completely opposite. It's like when you stick one hand in hot water and the other in ice cold. They're two completely different experiences, but almost the exact same physical sensation. And grief never allows us to get prepared for it. We can't study it and then just accept it when it comes. Instead, we're often rocked to the core of our souls. But none of us would trade the people that we have so that we would never experience grief. And today, and for however many days in the future it takes you, you may feel it. I hope that you will give yourself the grace in these moments. But I hope more than that. I hope that you will find a way to turn that pain into a time to honor the memory of Tammy. As Lily said, she was taken away from you far too early. And I know that's a common thing for people to say, but I think that was very true in this situation. But she left you with something better. She left you with more than just positive thoughts. She left you with the results of those positive thoughts, the goodness and the joy in life. You know, our world is full of images. Did you ever stop to think that images are simply snapshots of memories? Memories are what help us to maintain traditions, to remember love. They help us to recall important life events. They're how we share life with the younger generations. Since the beginning of time, human beings have held the value of the idea of remembrance. And it's one of the most important things that we can do for our loved ones who have passed on. And today you are given a great opportunity. Yes, it is steeped in great sadness and a sense of separation, but it is an opportunity nonetheless. And it is one that will never fade with time. And that's to carry on the memory of Tammy Jo Tate with you always. Grief is real, and it affects each of us differently. There's no one way to grieve that is more right than another. And as you go from here today, allow yourself and others around you the grace to grieve the loss of your friend, your coworker, your mother, your soulmate. But also allow yourself the opportunity to remember. You know, some people plant trees in remembrance, maybe hummingbird feeders. Some people create images on walls or on their their TV devices or digital devices. But whatever you choose to do, allow yourself this gift because it will bless you and it will honor Tammy. And I think that she would want that for you. Look on today not as goodbye, but as until we meet again. Death does not have to be a separation from those that we love. It can be a space in which we are temporarily unable to hold physical conversations or laughter with them. In the life that you must live without Tammy's physical presence, you can still find her joy, her goodness, her vibrancy for life present in every part of your daily living. And grasping onto that will allow you the opportunity to heal. Let us pray. Father God, today there is pain for the loss of a loved one. There is pain for the loss of someone special for Tammy. And I ask that you would hold each of these individuals present here today and those who couldn't be here in your comforting arms. I pray that you would wipe their tears and trade them for joy. I pray that you patch the empty places in their heart and fill it with goodness. I pray that you trade their sorrows for blessings. Thank you for understanding our pain and for wrapping us in your warmth and your love. Guide those here today as they learn to live without this beautiful woman that you placed in their lives. Thank you for hearing us in our greatest times of needs. In the name of Christ, I ask these things. Amen. I'd like to stand here forever and talk about a good woman. But as we close today, I asked Lily if I could share a poem with you, and I think that it represents the Tammy that you knew, and I think it represents what Tammy would say to you as you leave here today. I don't know the author of the poem, but the title is called Remember Me. Don't remember me with sadness. Don't remember me with tears. Remember all the laughter we've shared throughout the years. Now I am contented that my life, it was worthwhile, knowing that I passed along the way and I made somebody smile. When you are walking down the street and you've got me on your mind, I'm walking in your footsteps. I'm only half a step behind. So please don't be unhappy just because I'm out of sight. Remember that I'm with you every morning, every noon, and every night. As we conclude the service here today, the families ask that you join them at the Galleons Elk Lodge, which is at 212 Harding Way East. I think you just go back out to the light here, turn left, and follow it down. It's on the left, just before the railroad tracks, correct? Or after, maybe? It's right around the railroad tracks. Before, okay. However, if you didn't bring your rain gear, you might want to visit a minute. I thank you for the opportunity to share this evening. This concludes our service.